the original Resident Evil selling close to 3 million units on its initial run alone, Capcom continuing the franchise seemed like a no-brainer. And although the development was fraught with difficulties, including the infamous scrap version, which has later been dubbed Resident Evil 1.5, the Hideki Kamiya-led sequel would release in 1998 to critical acclaim and commercial success. The series was no stranger to Sega ports. The first game released on the Saturn, whilst RE2 at one stage was touted to follow it, before finally shambling towards Dreamcasts in 2000, just weeks before Code Veronica would debut. But how would it fare on Sega's 6th gen console? Well, like most of Resident Evil 2's ports, it was splendid despite a 2-year wait. After the surviving members of STARS escaped from the terrifying mansion of the first game, it seemed like life could go on for everyone involved. But just mere months after the initial event, a virus outbreak in Raccoon City turns many of its citizens into zombies, and other monsters are on the loose. It's up to rookie cop Leon Kennedy and Claire Redfield, sister of STARS member and protagonist from the first game Chris, to find a way to escape this nightmare and prevent the situation from spreading further. It's a simple, yet natural, evolution from the first game, with an improved budget providing better, though far from flawless, voice acting, fantastic sequences which have become iconic, and a plethora of survivors to meet who add to the game immensely. Resident Evil 2 doesn't stray far from what made the original superb. The tank controls remain intact, which are tricky to master, yet tactile once cracked. As you navigate through pre-rendered environments, you're tasked with surviving hordes of monsters while armed with limited ammo, healing items, and even save tokens, in the form of ink ribbons. While items can be stored in a box between safe rooms, the journey back to collect an item you forget can risk diminished ammo, damage taken, and, in the event of your death, a loss of progress. Along the way, you will also encounter puzzles, boss fights, and other breathtaking challenges. It's a fantastic, tense game that remains true to the tenets of the original, and those enamoured with the original will likely fall in love immediately. But like any great sequel, expansion is where Resident Evil 2 thrives. As before, you can choose between two protagonists, but rather than change difficulty between similar campaigns, Capcom opted to really entice multiple playthroughs. Dependent on which character you choose first, the second campaign then puts you in the shoes of the other protagonist, as you make your way through the Raccoon City Police Department in an alternate route. But it's not just more on the campaign front. New enemies make their presence felt, including the horrifying introduction of the Licker, which has become one of gaming's most memorable debuts. Additional weapons, such as the triple-shot bowgun and spark shot, spice up the weapon selection nicely, and the appearances of two unique characters, which at designated points become playable, add to the game in a meaningful way. Without context, a 5-hour campaign seems mighty brief, but while some parts overlap, there are some serious variances between campaigns. Items taken in one playthrough will disappear in the other. The appearance of the superpowered Mr. X in B scenarios adds a huge curveball, and with 4 scenarios to experience in total, it makes fantastic use out of a rich environment to encourage multiple playthroughs. So while a 3 to 5 hour campaign seems short, you can easily quadruple that time. That doesn't factor in earning grades upon skill completion, which rewards a multitude of unlockables, such as extra scenarios and weapons. Not to mention the oodles of gameplay potential to be seen, including stashed weapons, which require some extra puzzling to find. It's a joy. It also boasts an excellent presentation. The pre-rendered backgrounds have aged gracefully, with memorable locales such as the mesmerising RCPD front hall, the fiery crash site of a downed helicopter, and morose sewer networks. The soundtrack is also ace, with some incredibly memorable tracks, including the soothing safe room theme, the ominous library keyboard accompaniment, and the blood-pumping escape theme, which comes near the game's climax. Voice acting, while still a touch off kilter, is far more human sounding than the first game's woeful localization. You could tell there was a serious bump in production values. But how would the transition to Sega's 6th gen Dreamcast impact RE2 2 years down the line? It's worth mentioning that it is a content-rich port, with all the additions from both the DualShock and PC versions. This includes the action-heavy Extreme Battle and Rookie modes, as well as a data gallery, which lets you view various artworks. Like the PC version, too, the rendered FMVs are much improved with a wider screen output and improved speed. But it's not all good, as you can tell that RE2 was an aging game based on older systems by the year 2000. Characters, though benefiting from a slight bump in fidelity, often show their low poly roots. Although retaining most of their beauty, backgrounds can look a bit on the blurred side and don't mesh well with the high-res characters. On the plus side, sound effects and music are crisper in this version, and in a neat addition, your status can be viewed from the VMU screen. Ultimately, despite how late it came to the Dreamcast, Resident Evil 2 is still a marvellous game that for owners of this particular console is absolutely worth experiencing. The core gameplay is perhaps survival horror refined to its purest form. The bevy of replay value keeps you playing far beyond a debut playthrough, and with all the extras from the previous ports, you could argue it's the definitive version of this iconic game. But wherever you decide to play this survival horror classic, it's a game that stands out as one of the genre's finest hours.
Don't move!